Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. We are live now. Welcome to Don't Call Me for IT Support 2.0. We are not your typical IT guys. This is episode 5 of the reboot. Nice new things. I guess new informative things, I guess I'll go with. But I'm Brad Medlin.
Chris Touchberry.
I'm Krasnicki.
And boy, do we have some intriguing information that's been coming out about a lot of unique things. Also, Chris, when you brought to the attention this morning the transformer model, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, I just want to say that information alone, yep, I'm going to say it this way. That made me recognize once again NVIDIA is going to try to strip VRAM out of things because it's a reduction in VRAM.
Yep.
And they're going to be able to justify, cards with 12 gigs of VRAM again. But this is a, this is a Workstation and Work Technologies video podcast. Like I said, we're rebooting it. We typically do this live, so this is live. So if you send in messages through the chat opportunities, we will absolutely be replying to them. We are live on both LinkedIn and YouTube, for those wondering. And yeah, so this is like I said, we're about to get into a lot of the fun. A lot of new information coming out right now. A lot of new updates coming out right now. And ultimately, I'm an idiot. I have to leave it on now. And ultimately, like we like to talk about from time to time, there is a opportunity for us to share some insights, and so that's exactly what we're going to do here. We are just a couple of guys with a dream of helping others better navigate the crazy world of workstations, but these can also be gaming PCs and other fun work technologies. We do branch out and do some other things. I don't know if y'all can see it. I can actually see it because I have a fairly decent zoom on mine. Which way? I do have some lovely little pins. Some of my Star Wars pins to go along with my shirt.
I've seen them.
Mm,
One,
Nice.
this one over here says pew 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 pew.
Hmm.
This one says this is the way, and then this one's the stay on target. So here to have some fun. Got to enjoy it all. Like we said, if you do decide to type a comment in the chat, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Chris, because I have the thing set up in a different location this time for the first time in a hot minute. If you'll keep it on YouTube chat and let me know if something comes in, I'll ping my head over and look at it. I can see LinkedIn chat pretty well. Maybe one of these days we'll start streaming on Twitch, but it is what it is. So
Maybe geared towards gaming. You know, when we start doing the Twitch or
well, I mean, I have my own Twitch account that I use for occasionally doing stuff with Call of Duty and things like that, which is a lot of fun.
True.
Which I am going to start out with fun things about workstations and playing video games on a true super workstation. So this goes back. So we've talked about this before. PCs don't really know how to certain PCs and applications still don't really know how to handle more than 32 cores kind of deal.
Right.
And 64 threads. So basically, once you get up over that, if you try to load into Call of Duty right now, the anti-cheat boot time goes from about 18 seconds all the way up to 2.5 minutes.
Ew. Atrocious.
God.
Straight up garbage.
Because,
I've seen
because
your.
it thinks that the extra cores are but cheat.
I don't know what I think it's basically a combination of things. One, there's not quite you don't have quite as high a clock speed, obviously.
Mhm.
There is that. I'm going to say that there is that. It's not quite high clock speed, but at the same time, it's sitting there going, what the heck are these other cores doing? I mean, there's background processes. I don't know. I mean, I'll be the first person to say with an ATA 6000, which not Blackwell, would be awesome to see how that goes here in the near future potentially. But with the ATA 6000, it runs at basically a 4K by a 5K wide by 4K tall, ultra wide at 120 with just an 120 FPS monitor, and it's pretty much pinging 102 to 115 frames per second roughly. So yes, it is absolutely supported by that. Oh, that's the other thing I want to find for us before I jump over to the other screen. The Unreal Engine 5.6 update. Apparently, I saw this article yesterday and read into it. There's major for Unreal programmers and developers. There have been major uplifts with Unreal Engine 5.6. So if you haven't updated, maybe look into doing it.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, with everything they got going on,
I also was noticing that there was a 30% faster than the infamously bad version it succeeded. Wow, there's actually a lot of them. Oh, actually, no, 35% faster in frames per second boosts. That is pretty cool. I'm actually going to put the tech power part. It looks a little bit better for us. I'm going to put it in the rundown for everybody so they can see it. Don't want you guys to not see what we're talking about. You guys to be talking about it, Willis. Make sure you're in that way. If you need to go look at it, you can. So, we're going to start out, though, with the topic of the week. So, I'm going to run us over to this Tom's Hardware article. And inside of this, it's basically NVIDIA's DLSS revision reduces VRAM usage by up to 20% for upscaling, optimizes reduced overhead for a more powerful transformer model. Guys, AI is back at it. Yeah, I mean,
Swinging.
if everybody, AI is transforming the landscape we live in. If you didn't know that already,
For sure.
I thought that was crazy to begin with, but it is. It really is. Um, you know, it's also the big thing it looks like in here is that it's reducing the latency massively
Adaptive learning kind of thing.
within DLSS4. Let's see if I can't get the picture. I can blow it up a little more actually.
Oh, what? So, super late ads in the rundown. So I knew that they just launched leaked specs for the 5070 Super, but I guess the 5080 Super has also been leaked.
It doesn't surprise me. When one comes, they all come.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It looks like it's getting 24 gigs of VRAM, right?
Yeah, the 5080 is getting 24 gig, the 5070 is getting 18 gig, and they're both going up in power as well.
Yeah, I think 415 watts for the 5080. So, yeah, I'm gonna pull that one. Put that in the rundown because I do kind of want to go. Oh yeah, I've got one in there. It's in the rundown.
My preview must be out of date.
Should live update for you though.
Pop it up real quick.
If I have to move it over and send it to you guys in the chat, I absolutely can. I won't worry about that. But once again, 20% reduction in memory footprint. That is impressive.
Yep.
I mean, and of course, this is always talking about 4K because ultimately, whenever people start talking about these systems of and so on and so forth, they're almost always talking about 4K because if you're running things at 1080p, which a lot of people do, I'm not going to knock that one a little bit. I think that's an option.
Been a standard for a while.
And yeah, it is. It is. I need to go turn those notifications off. Otherwise, everybody's going to love hearing that. Every time it turns around. Sound. More volume settings. Going to mute system settings. Where is my volume mixer? System sounds. I'm just going to mute both the two. Oh, no, I don't want to mute teams. I just want to mute system sounds because I think that's what that is.
Yep.
I hope.
Yeah. All right.
I hope I'm talking myself through it, guys. And once again, somebody might have just learned how to mute that you can mute your system sounds, and didn't know that before. That's the crazy thing about it to me. I'm always gonna have fun with that kind of stuff. Maybe we should do video tutorials on how to actually operate your computer.
I don't hate that.
But once again, what's unique to this, like I said, is it's the frame generation piece. So it's the AI frame generation. If you've ever used the AI frame generation, awesome, good solution. But there are always going to be some, little hiccups as you go along. And this is the kind of stuff that, if you want to run 4K on like the 70 series or the 60 series, you're not going to really be able to do that with if you've got an 80 or 90 series, you're probably running the thing at 4K, 60, and you're locked there because those newer GPUs, even the 4000 series and even the Radeon, the AMD side of things, both of them, if you're in those upper two tiers, you're really pretty much running at native resolution. There's no need to run, DLSS or frame generation or anything like that because you have something capable of outpacing it if you need to.
Okay.
I bring that up and mention that because, like I said, this is one of those things for gamers that is to help on the lower end side of things. And why is this a thing? And Chance knows it better than anybody. It is because Intel graphics is actually competitive.
Been nice.
I will actually go and I'll look for that one too. There's an article the Pro Series GPUs from Gigabyte have actually launched. um, which they bring double the VRAM versus the original. And people keep showing them up in shipping manifests and driver things that there is going to be a 7 series like the for Battle Mage
Mhm.
potentially here in the next couple of months. I don't know. I haven't, I haven't got any pure knowledge. I would think maybe they would. I don't know why they wouldn't at the very least try to offer them as a professional series. Um, Maybe skip the consumer series this time around. And the reason for that is that the margins for because Intel is unique. So when you buy a professional series, 9 times out of 10 with AMD's Pro GPUs and with NVIDIA's Pro GPUs, NVIDIA has always had PNY as a distribution partner, right?
Yeah.
So they've always been there. But with AMD, they also make them themselves.
Mhm.
And literally, if you see the PNY version versus the NVIDIA version, there is no difference. It's the same exact version. And Dell has their own version. HP has their own version too, technically. When you see the Pro GPUs and whatnot, it's all the same. There is no different cooler types and so on and so forth. Intel went a whole different route and said, look, we've got these partners that are making our,
Chips.
computer GPU or not our consumer based GPUs. Why don't we let them go out and make the actual Pro Series 2? And because they can do that and give these what do they call them? These board partners, but I can't think of the other term. It's not an OEM, but because these third parties that are that are actually putting the chips on a PCB and building their own cooler designs and so on and so forth are, given the opportunity to mark to have the headroom and really have the, the margin, kind of like NVIDIA used to offer back in the day, because that margin is so much higher for them, they can actually, make a substantial profit off of some of these professional GPUs. Especially if you consider, the B series and the A series were in that 300 to that 250 to, $300 dollar price range. Even if B series is in that 350 to 450 price range, the Pro series is going to be close to $1,000, and the only difference is you're spending about maybe an extra $30 from a manufacturing perspective, an extra $30 on memory. NVIDIA's probably saying, hey, here's where your slice needs to be for your retail price. And then they're going and saying, and we're going to charge it, it's only going to cost us to send you the chips and stuff, 50% of that. And so they've got a massive margin and markup that they can work with. NVIDIA used to give the, the OEMs that were out there, the board partners that were out there, that kind of margin back in the day. They do not do that anymore. Which is why EVGA closed up shop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. People I miss.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a good product.
We did like 95% BVGA cards.
Well, EVGA had some of the best cooler designs of anybody.
They were phenomenal.
But the problem was, once again, with no margin there, obviously, how's it going to work? You got to pull out. You got to do something different. You got to use what you can use. And if NVIDIA is going from saying, hey, your margin for doing all this stuff is going to be 10% now, and it costs 8% to design and build your cooler, why would you stick in that market? You're only getting a 2% return on investment. I don't think that's fairly easy to pull off. But like I said, so there are some intriguing things coming along. We see that might be those B series, B7 series, Battle Mage 7 series are actually coming out. Great. Love it. I really hope they do, because competition is always a good thing, especially in the computer chip market. And from what I've been hearing from an AI perspective with the current, the 5 series that's out there for the Pro, because they get double the VRAM, and then they've got one of them dual chip on board. dual chips on the same board with a PCI Express switch on it. Because of those kind of things, you really and truly are seeing an uplift in AI processing, because AI obviously is very memory intensive. Obviously, there is some actual core basics to that you need, but yeah, memory intensive. If you're doubling VRAM, that's always going to be a help. Okie dokie. Drop over here for just a second as we come back over here to bring the second article up, which is, it still talks about the same thing. Actually, no, I'm going to skip over the WCCF tech. That's going to be where we want to go with this. This is, like I said, this is what actually spawned us deciding to do a episode sooner than later. And I think it's worth its weight in gold to discuss, if nothing else, because it tells us a little bit more about the way things are operating. And this, you had the thing about, where is the, nope, not there. I thought we had a thing about the IPC, or not, it's not IPC, it's power uplift or performance uplift, sorry.
I guess. Yeah.
I'll find that if I have to in a second. Back here. Oh. So, and like I said, this is a WCCF Tech article. So, Nova Lake desktop CPUs feature DDR5 8000. Memory support natively. Obviously, that's great. Up to 36 PCI Express Gen 5.0 lanes.
Oh.
So, what does that mean, Chris?
And a lot more room.
Mm-hmm.
It means there's more. One, there's more native desktop or native CPU PCI Express lanes. They're bumping it up, and actually, it is a total now of 48 PCI Express lanes total.
Cascade Lake.
So 24 from the chipset, or no, 24 from the CPU directly, and then another 8. No, 8 to get to 36. How do we get there, ladies and gentlemen?
Get there one day.
It's the 12 that go to the chipset. So basically, the CPU has 28 because it's got 4 more that are coming off the CPU to the chipset, and then 8 directly off the chipset. So that's where your 24 shows up, or your 36 shows up. It's 12 more. I was mathing, and the math wasn't mathing there for a minute.
It's like Cascade Lake. Boop, boop.
But so if you see this here, then the nice thing is, like I said, you get 48 total PCI Express lanes between the CPU and the platform controller hub of the chipset, basically. 24 and 4 off the CPU directly. The chipset itself has 8 Gen 5 and then 16 Gen 4. I mean, which is going to be beneficial, because if you're running old school GPUs still that are Gen 4 based, that means you could technically run 2, Gen 4 cards in there and get all 16 lanes on both of them, and still have. Right, no, mathing. Is the mathing there?
Yeah.
Yep, 32.
Yeah.
You only need 32 for that, and still have so that with that you still have another 16 lanes available to you for whatever else you need, whether it be your NVMe drives, anything like that. So that's going to be that. But this is where that huge benefit comes in. Also, this leak coming in that's kind of crazy is CPUs are going to offer 52 cores. I like the sound of that on a desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have to go find it, but I did see another great one the other day that mentioned not the core count. So no, it is 16 P cores though.
Yeah.
16 P cores and what 48.
LP. E-cores, Nova Lake.
I've got to find out. Yeah, I got to look at it. But basically, you're getting more P cores, but they're also basically making it such that the physical um, SRAM on board is compatible with Ryzen
Hmm.
and Ryzen Vcache at that.
I did see that.
Yep, I know you did.
So it's 16 P cores, 32 E cores, and then 4 LPE cores.
That's right. That's where my math is not mathing. I was like, there's 4 cores I'm missing somewhere. Yeah, that's why you get that's yeah. But yeah, I mean those 4 LP cores, which I don't know how I feel about those just yet. It's a okay if you're just running Windows to do something simple. We don't really we'll bounce around, move around, do what we have to do.
Sure.
Those LP cores are a little bit unique to me, I think. I don't know how beneficial they really are. I don't think they hurt anything, obviously, but I mean, how much are they actually helping, guys? Let's be honest. They're more of a controller core, and I just the one downside, the one thing where AMD has its difference right now is there's obviously pretty sure. I don't know if they've announced it, but I've seen enough rumors about it to know that they're finally going from 16 to 24 cores on desktop, which is helpful, but I mean, it kind of gets back to that whole conversation we've had before, which is like, all right, they pulled the Intel for the past what, 3 generations, Chris? 4 generations? When did they hit 16 on desktop?
Ryzen 3000 with the 3950X.
That's what I was thinking. So, okay, that's 3950X, 5950X, 7950X, 9950X.
Yep.
That is 5 generations.
5? Yeah.
No, 4.
4.
4. Yeah, 4. Because they did a 2002, but obviously they've had steps in between. No, we really don't. But if you think about it, they pulled and the way they launch things, it's basically been since 2020.
Yeah.
So it took them 5 years to finally decide. Oh yeah, we'll finally give you more than 60. It was the age old adage that Intel pulled for years, which killed Intel, and it's allowed Intel to actually come back from a performance perspective. Sure, they've been boosting core counts for years in server, but that's because they had to do something in server to be competitive with Intel's vector utilization codes, AVX512, those kind of things. They had to do something to be competitive with that, and what it was just throw cores at it. And we think that would be a solution, and it was a solution. It was a solution, but it would only go so far. It's throughout most of it. And so when you think about it that way, you have to think about it. Okay, so I'm only going to go so far. I've got to come up with a better solution. And so that was what they were doing, like I said, with server, because not everything needed AVX512, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to go down that rabbit hole because I want to find the.
I'm curious to see what the Nova Lake support is like for like 256 gig. Like how fast can a fully loaded memory controller go? Because it's 8,000 mega transfers, single DIMMs, one rank. But
it's going to drop off of that. It's probably going to be like 70 something hundred for 2 DIMMs per, or not 2 DIMMs per channel, for two channel.
If it's 7,000 megahertz for 4.6, holy crap!
Yeah, which is huge.
Insane. They don't even make that right now.
So
that would be nuts. If Nova Lake actually challenges Bcache,
Well, I mean, here you go from that perspective. They are boosting the TDP
Mm-hmm.
to 150 watts, which I mean, if you're doubling you're doubling all the cores technically.
Mhm.
That's not that big. But if you were doubling the cores for the Ultra 9, then obviously you got to do it somewhere. Um, oh,
And
that's
the
unique.
L3.
So they're actually going to put the cache underneath the CPU.
Similar to Ryzen 9000.
Opposite. So where the issue with Vcache is right now is from the thermal perspective, and why you can't really super overclock. You can on 9000, but you couldn't before that. Where
Right.
the on 7000, 5000, they put the VRAM or the Vcache on top. Looks like Intel's following the 9000 design where they're going on the bottom, so you'll still have your overclock ability because the actual hottest piece of the chip will still be on top.
Mm.
You know, which is good.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Keep it on top.
It's I mean it's a, like I said, it's a unique thing, and it looks like they're kind of challenging it for a line with 8 P cores and 20 E cores and 4 LP cores. That's not bad. I mean, it's like I said, that because 8 P cores is the gaming setup right now. Once again, just like the Vcache setup from Ryzen right now, it's only for 8 cores.
8 cores.
Yeah,
Bro.
it's a whole little bop. But that, like I said, I wanted to find that because that was unique to me. I thought
Mhm.
that was very much a piece that I thought needed to be addressed because that's one of those things. Like, I mean, memory support is where you're obviously that's where everything is for gaming and whatnot. You don't need a whole bunch of cores. You can throw more actual SRAM there. So, because obviously everybody has seen the gaming uplinks for Ryzen's Vcache CPUs. I mean, they're king right now. Nothing else crazy about it. So I'm gonna drop us into this one now for the next piece because this is kind of cool to me. So, and this is where we went to it. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. VRAM, the CUDA cores, they're going up with a little bit of increased power for the 50 series Super, which as crazy it is to say that this, if this rumor is true, I mean, this launch is right around the corner. I mean, the Super Series usually comes out about a year after the regular series.
Yeah.
So
So,
then it would be launched in like 6 months.
I mean, theoretically, it should be launched and coming out towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know when. That's the theory. That's the theory. I mean, if you look at things, that is the theory. This
Yeah.
does touch on everything here too. I like that. So, they're expected to follow up the refresh series. Like I said, super refreshers they do. Getting in 80, 70 Ti, and 70. Um, Preliminarily, the specifications of the new super models. Substantial jump of the non-super counterparts. Well, that's nice. So they get chip upgrades too.
Yeah.
So 4% uplift in CUDA cores for the 5070 Super. The I mean 4% is not a lot, but it's gonna like I don't know if that one's getting more RAM. Can't tell if the 70 is. The 70 Super, oh yeah, it is. The 70 Super, just the 70 Super, is going to 18 gigabytes of memory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's on the stock 5070, Chris?
12
12?
gigs. Yeah.
Yeah. So they 50% more memory. That's a big
lot.
that's a big uplift.
Lot.
I see how they're doing it. They're doing it the simple way. They're not really changing the number of chips. They're doing the same
Going
thing
with the
they
higher
did.
capacity.
They're doing the same thing they did with the Blackwell Blackwell 6000 Pro. They're using those 3 GB modules to gain additional memory there.
What's crazy is that the 5070 Ti Super is going to be 24 gig.
And it looks like
At
it looks like
56-bit.
It looks like the 5080 is only gonna get
24 gig.
24 gigs.
Yeah. So,
but it's same CUDA cores, which I'm trying to remember how many CUDA. That 10752 reminds me of the 3090.
I think we're going to be selling a ton of 5070 Ti Supers. Because 24 gigs at $900, whatever they priced 5070 Ti Super at.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds right.
You know what?
800, 900.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a strange bet here. I bet the 5090 gets a super this year, or a
How?
TI.
What would they do?
Yeah.
I'm making 3 GB modules,
What?
24 to 48 gigs. No, not 48, 24 to 32 gigs. The RTX 3090 has 32 gigs though.
30, yeah, 32 gig. It has the,
It's got the 512-bit bus though, right?
I don't know, IPX 5090 specs.
Oh, I'm reading this wrong. They're talking about the 5090 mobile. And
5090 is already 32 gig memory, 512-bit bus, using, I guess, the 3 gig. What's the size of the memory chips?
3 gigabytes of chip versus 2 gigabytes of chip.
So they would have to change something to go to 48.
No, the 5090 could go to 48 with those 3 gigabyte chips because it's got 32 on a 512-bit bus. I remember.
So it's not fully enabled.
It's not. They're only using 2 gigabyte chips, so they could get 50% more memory.
They're only using 2 gig chips.
Hang on, I'm mathing it here. I gotta make sure I do this. I want to make the math for myself.
Yeah.
If I make the math, it'll make sense to me. And right now the math is not mathing in my head. So
let them cook.
I'm just 32, making it simple.
I guess.
48 would be wild.
32
Super. I don't think
times
5090 Super would be 5090 Uber.
yeah, it's 48. It would be 48 gigs. If they just up that, if you got a 5090 Super or a 5090 Ti in that sense.
Please, for the love of Christ, call it Titan.
Yeah, I mean, well, if they, like I said, if they wanted to really do that, that's what they ought to do. Call it a Titan. They don't need to boost the anything else about it. Don't need to change anything else. Just boost the memory.
We need our Titans.
And maybe give it maybe give it the same. Get a couple more CUDA cores. Enable another SM or two.
What was the last Titan? I can't remember.
RTX Titan and make it gold again.
It was basically a RTX 6000 or Quadro RTX 6000 basically is what that Titan was. But it was $2,500 versus whatever the 6000 was. I think 5,000 at the time, 4,000 at the time.
So the 2080 Ti 11 gig was like $1,000, and then the RTX Titan 24 gig was like more than twice the price.
Oh,
Same cooler.
it was 2,500.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was they marketed the last Titan they had. They marketed it as a a prosumer setup.
Yes.
Like you're not buying this, and it kind of goes back to where like Xeon W Kid is back now, Red River Pro is back now. Truly. So you kind of have that prosumer, and Threadripper in general is back. So you kind of have that prosumer market coming back, where it's like, okay, I don't want to go buy the server specific, stuff or the heavy duty workstation specific, and that was the thing. So it didn't match the specs, like it matched the specs of the RTX, the Quadro RTX 6000, not the 8000, the Quadro RTX 6000. It matched those specs, but it did not come with full on pro drivers, which 9 times out of 10, most prosumers don't need. Like it's good enough where they're not there where the savings was, and this is the truth behind where the cost in pro cards comes from is in two things. One, the long-term availability of the card. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you can still technically go out and buy a RTX A 6000 from PNY, from NVIDIA technically, or Dell, whoever. You can still buy those cards because they have a 5-year lifespan. They produce them for 5 years.
Yeah.
All right. You can't go out and buy a 3090 anymore.
No.
That card was shelved years ago. Now that's one of the things. The other piece to it and why they cost so much more usually is that NVIDIA themselves handles a portion of the driver testing with the companies to make sure that this card, whenever we release a driver for it, it is going to work for 5 years. It's not going to fail you. Yet you might occasionally get a crash, but that's usually Windows related, not driver related. And so that's the big ticket that people I think miss is there is a huge market there. And that's why, like I said, there's a massive markup on everything because of this. And it's a massive markup. Like, I mean, you guys know, like a 40 or a 5090 right now is what, $2,000?
$2,500.
Okay, $2,500 for a 5090. All right. An RTX Blackwell 6000, not Max Q, because I'm not going with that. We've had that discussion before. The Max Q version
like
is $8,000.
9,000, yeah.
Easy. All right. It's a massive market, but once again, they put the time. It's because there's physical time and effort from the driver's team that markup is saying, hey, we're going to keep paying our driver developers to guarantee that these drivers, as we release them. It's also why they almost do everything like freaking clockwork. About the middle of every month, if you go look on the NVIDIA website, you have a new driver. It's monthly like clock, but like I said, that's why you're paying for that premium, is because they've got a team of software developers behind it, making sure that, hey, these things are developed, built, and made platform-wise for the physical client that's going to use it at the end. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yep.
Right?
I feel like I was getting a weekly update from Intel every now and again, with the art.
Oh, and that's
was
because their drivers were terrible when they launched them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as they've matured, they've gotten better. I mean, yeah.
Huge.
If if Intel was in the black for the A series, the Alchemist series GPUs, I don't know how. There's no way. There's just no way. They intentionally ate it to get them out there.
Yeah, I got you.
And then they ate it even harder because they had to get the drivers right.
Mm-hmm. True.
And I'll say this.
Not many people think about that, yeah.
I listened to a podcast with a guy that's, he's got a YouTube channel, Moore's Law is Dead, and I was listening to one on things that he was talking about them. They legitimately, because of the way things were, I mean, like I said, you had to sell it for not quite a loss, but basically for cost. And then you had to develop all these drivers. But the sad thing about it is NVIDIA has been making good GPU drivers for years.
Mhm.
They've had integrated graphics on all of their CPUs since like Sandy Bridge.
They do hold the standard,
You
in my
know,
opinion. Mm-hmm.
so the iGPUs have been there for years. So why in the world they had such absolute, I mean, terrible graphics drivers from the start on a dedicated graphics card? That still blows my mind to this day. There's no reason for that. None. I mean, it should have been good, but that's beside the fact. 70 series. I want to go look at the actual 5080, get a full picture of it here. I'm gonna bring this up. Like I said, all these things, and keep in mind, everybody, this keep in mind, it's grain of salt. These are rumors. Some information about this could change.
Mhm.
You know,
We just talk about it.
I mean, the way we're looking at this is how is it going to change things,
Speculation.
from the market perspective? Because here's the thing,
Mhm.
where does this benefit? There's a 32 gig RTX Blackwell Pro RTX 5000. I don't think it's
4500 is 32 gig.
Yep. The 4500 is 32 gig. What's the 5000? 48?
48.
So yeah, the 48's already got it. So basically, like I said, they because that 3 gig chip, so that's what they did in the first place, is they put those 3 gig chips to use on all the Pro series to begin with.
Yeah.
That's where they did it. And now that the Pro series is will start to mature, and those chips are starting to come into supply capacity where supply levels out with demand, and the price of them comes down to be manageable, they'll put them on these Super Series cards, put a 10-15% markup on every single one of them, because that's what they're going to do. They're not going to just give you the same thing for the same price. They can't do it. If they did, they'd be smart
Probably
for
would
doing
get
it, because
sued.
if they did it, they'd be smart for doing it because they need to. But you couldn't get sued for putting it at the same price. That's not that. No, no way in heck. Because
No.
the thing is, if you bought the old one, it's because the availability of the 3 gigabyte chips wasn't there. That's why they didn't launch with them. So I mean, that's they worked within the law of supply and demand. They had demand for GDDR7. They got these 3 gig these 2 gig chips. They knew 3 gig was coming, but they wanted to push these things out fast. And GDDR7 is so much faster and more energy efficient than 6X. And I mean, it's about as efficient as 6, but it's faster.
Yep.
So once again, things change, move things around. Yeah, there's some more wattage that's going to go into these things. If there's more wattage, there's got to be more cores, or there's either more cores or they're boosting the clock speed somewhere.
One of both.
I mean, well, because here's the thing: in the situation that they got, like I said, if they both feature the same amount of cores, and you're getting more power, the 3 gig modules aren't going to burn that much more power. They might be a 10% more, maybe a 5% more power draw,
Sure.
Something like that from an overall perspective. Maybe, if we're being real here, but in reality, there's got to be the base and boost clocks is where they're changing. They're giving you a little more. They're putting a little more power into that to make it a little bit better. Zoom in here so I can kind of scroll it down. Yeah, I mean it said looks to launch early in 2026, which these launched in 2025 officially. The 5000 series launched in 2025, so a year later basically. Almost like clockwork, they try to put something which is just a tweak of the existing one. And once again, it boils back down to what's it based on, So Pro GPUs come out, they have all the good stuff.
Yep.
After the Pro, and they launched the consumer GPUs first for some strange reason. I've yet to kind of figure that one out. All right, rabbit hole for a second here. I want to go look at the Pro Series on the website.
This is the second rabbit hole.
Oh, I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna pursue a little bit of information as I can.
Mhm.
Products. I want graphics cards and GPUs. I want Blackwell. I want products. I want Workstation.
Mhm.
And also, the reason that more and more of these products are going to start to become a much higher availability, you should also see the price of these cards start to finally come down.
Yeah.
Off of their inflated launch price, because they were inflated. I want to see. We'll go here. We'll look at the actual pair. All right. I don't care about Max Q. I want to see. So, yep. 5000 Pro has got 48, like you said, 45 and 4000. And they still haven't even gotten to the Blackwell, 2000 and 1000. They launched those so much further behind because literally those were built off like the 5050 and the 5060 design.
Mhm.
I mean, your 6000 is essentially a beefed up version of the 5090, and it is. It's got more. Your 5000 is a beefed up version. It's usually placed somewhere in between a 5090 and a 5080. Is the 4500 basically a 5080 now?
Mm. Oh, no, I don't think so.
Here we go. We'll look at the actual specs of them.
Yeah.
Insert System Tech Power, CPU specs database. Manufacturer, going to NVIDIA. We're going to scroll our way down to RTX Pro. Right here, it's got it here. So the 5000 is 1480. 14,080. So quite literally, the 5000 is slotted in between the 4090, not 4090, the 5090 and the 5080. Because the 5080's got 10 something. Which, like I said, it's the 5080's basically got the 4090 or 3090 specs, if you ask me.
Mhm.
The 4000, however, drops off. The 4500, yeah, 4500 is literally a 4080 or a 5080.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of physical, CUDA core count. It's running the same CUDA core counts and same SMs basically. And it's got 32 gigs just like the actual. It's got a lower bus on it, so that kind of cuts it a little bit.
Sure.
But it is still running that GE203.
Mhm.
So with
Hey,
that,
the 4500 has the same CUDA count that the 5080.
what's the 5080s real quick? It tells me right here in this article. Okay, no, not quite. It's got one less SM.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
One less SM.
I mean,
But like the 5080 has, like I said, the 5080 currently has 24 gigs of VRAM with the 2 gig modules. The 4500 has 32 with the 3 gig modules. And it is literally got, so like I said, this is 10752 CUDA cores on the 5080 and 5080 Super. On the 50,
wow, that's really close.
on the 4500 or 104,960 or 10496. Like I said,
That's
it's
close.
literally disabling one SM.
Yeah.
For efficiency. It's the same chip, like I said, GB20 203, which is the exact same as the 5080. And it's like I said, it's 256-bit bus. So like I said, everything else about it is normal. The only difference is, like I said, it's like I said, it disables single shader units. Yep. It disables basically it's like I said, it's an efficiency thing, guys. You want the most efficient device and product you can have.
Mhm.
So that's what they do. Um, and it's also underpowered too from that perspective. So this thing draws.
200
So
watt.
okay, here's your performance standard. So the RTX Pro 4500, it is relative performance, it's 100%. The 5080 is 102%.
Wow.
Like,
From the 4500 to there,
yep. Sit down.
right?
Stupid.
Right. And the big thing is it's not pushing its boost clock. It's the boost clock works just fine and well. But that's your rough performance numbers. And if you go back and look at the 4000, so what is the 4070's CUDA count? Do we know? The 5070.
57.
Or
Hold
is
on.
it the 5070? Actually, 5070 Ti. So it's got the full chip. Okay, the 4000 has the full chip of the. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a full chip. It's GB203. What's the 5070 built on? 204? No, it's built on 203. It has 8960 versus the 4000 having the same 8960. So it is the 4000 Blackwell, the RTX Pro 4000 Blackwell is a
The 57. The
better
58 is
performance
only...
than a 5070 Ti.
Wow. And the 5080 is only 7% faster.
Yep.
I cannot wait
And here,
for these lower end quadros to be available.
Here's your comedy behind that. The 5080's got a lot of dual 2.5 plus designs. This thing's a single slot.
I know. 140 watt. 140 watt. I cannot wait for
It's
these.
7% slower, and the 4000's about priced at the same as a 5080 too.
I cannot wait for the 4000, 4500, and 5000 Blackwells to be out.
And when you think about it, Chris, the 24 gig version, so it's yes, it's got a slightly slower memory bus, and that's what holds it back versus the 5080. But it has the same amount of memory as the 5080. 24 gigs.
But there's a new 5080 Super.
There's going to be a 5080 Super, and so that will perform better, obviously. But the point that I was making with that is that you're getting the same 24 gig chip, which is basically the 5070 Ti Super, whatever that becomes. I mean, yeah, you can see the difference. So you've got the 4000. It is from the 5070 Ti that has the same number of CUDA cores. It's 6% faster because, once again, it has 50% more memory. So in theory, the 5070 Ti should see us at least, if it has same shader units and clock for clock and everything like that, and it gets that extra memory, it should perform 6 to 10% better, on par with the 6000 Blackwell or the 4000 Blackwell.
But at 350 watts. More than twice the power draw.
Yeah, this thing's drawn what?
140.
Yep, this thing's drawn 140.
Well,
it is what it is, man. It goes back to the most efficient chips coming out. You remember back in the day when overclockers would talk about golden samples? Where CPU. This is what Pro Series GPUs are. They're the golden samples. You're not going to get any better than that.
the cream of the crop.
Literally, I mean that's the point that I'm making to it. Is like it's literally, it's you're getting the best chips off the line no matter what. You're not getting something now, and you're getting the best chips, but you're not overclocking them either. You can't actually, and you don't need to. They're designed for longevity. They're not designed for a short stint that you want to just get through. They're designed to patiently get what we need to get. We went down that fun rabbit hole. I mean, it bought us a little bit of time. I'm not gonna say it bought a lot of time, a little bit of time.
By the time we have all the time.
We got all the time in the world.
Our time.
I am wondering this too, how much these transformer models are affecting some of the performance in Unreal Engine. Because here's the thing, as I bring up the next story in this. So Unreal Engine 5.6 up to 35% performance improvement over 5.4. I am wondering if some of this is because frame generation technologies are better implemented, right? That kind of makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
So like your DLSS, your FSR, they both have AI technologies now that is for frame generation. So for the people out there talking, and I'm wondering how this kind of ties in, and I'm going to say it in a simple conversational piece to make people kind of think about this a little bit more. So AI has a lot of opportunities, obviously, but one of the things that they are working on is a way. So let's say your GPU is a little bit underpowered. Like I said, we use the 5060 as a conversational piece. They're talking this on the 5080, which, once again, if you're on the 5080, you probably could be running things at 4K, 4K 60, and never drop below 60. You're probably still pushing 190 frames per second at minimum, right? Well, 90 frames per second is great. We love that. We need that. We want more of that. But, and that's why I got to mention the huge but in the room.
Nice.
You know, as you have these higher end PCs, everybody wants more than 60 frames per second with ray tracing fully enabled, or they want ray tracing turned off and they want 120 or 144 or 240 frames per second, because everybody thinks that 240 frames per second just gives you this absolute great advantage. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Let's be honest, guys. But it does help some, and I'm trying to be positive for those people out there to have that conversation. It is somewhat helpful. But the real world that we live in, you know, is if you want to ray trace, they're saying, okay, we need to guarantee that you're getting all the frames necessary to do that. We can't guarantee that without saying we're going to artificially create some. That's literally what they're doing. They're artificially creating a frame that there is predictive models to say, if you're looking at this direction in this game, and this is where AI has gotten, it's getting out of control from just purely from the actual perspective of, you know, all of these models that have to be run. That's why data centers go crazy.
Yep.
That's why data centers are exploding, is because they have, it's because
Have to.
every new game that comes out in the next 5 years is going to have some kind of AI performance run of, if you're doing this and you're doing this, and here's the 95 billion, not 9,000, 95 billion possibilities of how you could do this, play this game.
Yep.
You know,
almost infinite, really.
Yeah, it really is. But it's like, if you're doing this, here's the frame that you would interpolate in for this exact scene. Right? And so that's like, this is where AI is really making a difference in the real world. Is gaming is actually where AI's, you know, outside of Chat GPT, which, I mean, it's, you know, chat bots, things like that. That's great. But gaming's one thing. I'm waiting to see how this finally pairs out to in the developer side of things. You know,
Yes, sir.
when they're starting to use Unreal Engine and it's actually, you know, it's got these built-in AI features to say, hey, here's how you can quickly draw this character, right? Or here's how you can quickly create this environment. Tell it what you
Mhm.
need, it'll create it for you. Then you go in and start working with it. You need lighting, shadows, that kind of, it's pretty soon AI is going to take over a lot of what these programmers have been doing for years. And it's going to be, okay, what are the programmers doing now? They're building some of the models that you need for the characters. They're building models for the worlds. And then you're letting AI go, all right, light this world based on these, you know, specs.
Yep.
And it's going to take some of that programming time out. Hopefully it does things where you don't have to go 25 years between GTA 5 and GTA 6. You know, I don't think I started this thinking that we were going to have a lovely gaming conversation, but this is kind of one that you have to have because it's one of those areas where AI really is being pushed. Like those frame gen toggles are everywhere for everything, and it's because you've got a 5090 that's $2,500 and a 5080 that's 1,500. I mean, Chris, I'm sure you remember this. Chance, I'm positive you remember this. But just go back 10 years. What did an 80
Mhm.
class GPU cost?
6080. What did a
Ooh.
GTX 680
No,
specs?
10 years ago, I think that's when it just started popping. Wasn't more than 1,000.
So there's a
Not even
780.
close.
Oh yeah, no, it was more. Yeah,
780 launch price.
699. That's good to me.
Launch price.
Scrolling down to
Feels good to me.
650.
650. Dang. Ooh, I was getting there.
This 780 launched for 650. Pretty sure that was in 2013. Okay, yeah, yes, in May
That sounded right because it
2013.
started,
So
started taking off with a lot of the mining and whatnot.
so the
after that.
980 would have been the next one. So 10 years ago it would have been the 980 launch price,
Mm-hmm.
and that was about 550. Why it went down?
Even better.
what was the launch price of the 1080, Chris?
$600 roughly.
$599.
Damn.
So in 10 years, which inflation has not been this tracked with this, but in 10 years or 9 years, we've gone from $600 up $900.
Well,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
That shouldn't be right though.
I know it's a
If
shame, but
if it were I could see in 9 years inflation causing 450 to $500. I could see that. It's not one. It gets back to lack of competition because AMD was not there, and especially lack of competition in the low tier market.
yeah, that's a big.
There wasn't anything there that was competitive with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So versus the the 1080, how much faster is the 580? Scroll down in your little chart.
I'm using the 2080. I'm going to the 2080 because I think the 2080 was actually similarly priced. Yep, 2080 was okay. The 2080 was $700. It's $100 more. Granted, we got ray tracing with the 2080. I will. That is a totally new technology. I'll accept that one. All right. How far off is the 2080? Here's a great one. You know what's 9% better than the 2080? A 5060 Ti.
5080.
I'm looking at the RK 770 right there. It's not much. That's crazy.
All right.
1080 held up.
Now, okay, that's the that's
3060
not true. That's not true. The 5060 Ti. So the from the 2080 is 100. The 5060 Ti 8 gig is 9% better. The 5060 Ti 16 gig 35% better. I should tell you right there. All right, what's a 5060 Ti cost?
$400, I think.
$429. You have lost in 10 years. You have lost essentially $200 to get the exact same performance as before.
Yep.
Not 10 years, in 8 years, 6 years.
8. Yeah,
8 years.
8 years.
No, 6 years. 6 years. We're only 3 generations away.
Oh.
All right, so
The buying power is insane. Or
so go back
Sure.
to the 5080.
To the 5080. All right, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scrolling up to it now. 5080 right here. Yeah. Now the 5080 is 200% more powerful. The 5080 is 200% more powerful than the 2080 for essentially 3 times the price. 2 times the performance for 3 times the price.
No competition.
That's what no competition gets you. Like I said, if it were $1,200, I'm all for that.
Yeah. Dang.
Chris, we're wrong. No, this is right. This is paired right. The 5080. Well, okay. It's the problem is you can't get them for the retail price.
Right.
The launch price is $900. Is $1,000. This is Nvidia's fault though for not having competition. For $1,000, which is right in band, you're getting double the performance over 6 to 8 years.
That would be awesome.
And that's about a rolling cycle for a good GPU. If you get double performance for about double the price, I can live with that.
Justify that.
Anybody could. You wait and get a new GPU 10 years later, anybody's justifying that.
Problem is that there's no supply.
Yep.
It's because at $1,000, that's what everybody wants to buy.
Mm-hmm.
The rule of thumb. There used to be the PC builders rule of thumb. Back when I first started building PCs myself, Chris, I want to see if you agree with this. So I built PCs for years. Let me go back to the videos. I built PCs for years. My own, made some for some friends back in the day. There was always this rule of thumb that if you spent whatever you spent on your CPU, you usually spent about 1.5 to maybe 2x on your GPU.
Yeah.
They used to always be so. Back when I was first building PCs, it was $350 for your top tier CPU, and your top tier GPU was $600, about 1.5 to 2 times.
What was that the Haswell and Pascal?
Let me go tell you what it was because it was a long time ago.
Because I bought my 4770K for like $350.
Chris, I got news for you. My first processor wasn't a 4770K. It was before that.
Oh yeah, he's selling on Pentium, bro.
Core
it was mine.
Let me go down to.
So I got news for you.
Let me go down. That's 12. That's 9. That's 8. That's 5th. That's 4th. 4th gen i7s.
I think my parents still got a dual core Pentium in there somewhere. No
How
hyperthreading.
does that still run?
Actually,
Yeah. I think I can fire it up. Hang on, I might have to. That might be a podcast for later today.
dude, I'm all for that one. We got to have that one. That'd be good.
I'm gonna find it here in a little while.
I have to go look at
the house somewhere.
Xeon and the E3 family. When did the E3 family come out? Before the E3 family? I know. Yeah, Z3. E3.
Was Xeon B3?
No, no. It was E5. What was the? But like, I've got. I might have to go look at legacy processors to really find this stuff.
We are down rabbit hole.
24. All right, sort by cores. Other way. 8 cores, 24. E5. I'm about to go pick the processor up that's behind me. It's the actual one.
Nice.
I actually have it sitting on my shelf behind me.
Yeah.
I think it's a 2680 is what it was.
No worries. Yeah.
Zooming in. 2670. Here it is. 2687W. Okay, this was my. This is so. All right. Guess when this came out? This is 10 years ago. It's more than 10 years ago. Guess when this launched?
What are we talking about?
Guess when the 2687W launched? The E5 2687W. I had a Lenovo ThinkStation with 2 of these processors in it.
2010.
It has to be.
You're close to 2012. Q1 2012.
I was going for 2011.
My first PC I built had a Xeon processor in it. Actually, I had an AMD Phenom 2 actually that I built. That was my first processor. It's what scared me from AMD for years and years and years. Because I went to a Xeon processor after that and never had the blue screens of death that I got with Windows XP. Yeah, my first PC wasn't 64-bit. It was 32-bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was back in 2007. That was the first PC I ever built. I ran that thing forever. That's what I'm saying. I still have my first GPU behind me. It was an Asus GTX 295. Dual GPUs on a single what's it called? Board. Much like the ones that they have now coming out from Intel. So
Very cool. Yeah, think about the Athlons, the Phenoms of the world. I'm telling you, we got to find that computer tower here in a little while.
which one?
I think it was a Pentium D or something like that. I want to say that's what it was. Affiliates bring a hit. Yeah.
I don't like I said.
It was before hyperthreading.
I have
really.
no idea how to go behind this product specification to find the one that I used. Like it's a processor that came before that. There has to be a CPU thing on Tech Power Up, right? Am I right in that statement? Does Tech Power Up have a CPU
Yeah.
database? I
look.
bet they do. Yeah, they do. Open in a new tab. Do die. This isn't even a rabbit hole anymore. This is an exploratory art. We are exploring the art of the CPU.
You want to rename the title of this podcast to that?
No, wait, all things nice, new things. But okay, I can tie that all back here in a minute. Give me a second. I will. Have no fear. So I need to go back to it's 100 most popular. I don't want to do that. I want to go. Add filters. Manufacturer. Intel. Okay, what's Xeon? Go add filters. Released 2007. Oh man, remember Core 2 Duo?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Harpertown. There it is. It was a quad core.
Classic. Oh, was it? Wow.
It was. It was a quad core.
No hyperthreading. Couldn't have been.
one it was. I
Kinda
remember,
sad.
I remember it had 3 gigahertz. Nope, it was not hyper-threaded. It had 4 cores and 4 threads.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of sad part about Tech Power Up when you change to processor, there's no like comparative
Oh, but Chris, there
percentage
is.
faster.
Oh, percentage fat. Yeah. It's just giving you the old. What, dude? We're not gonna. The uplift of this thing, I mean, is 10 billion times. This sucker was built on 45 nanometer, right?
Class. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I love this frequency turbo clock NA.
Released 1998. There are 3 things that were released in 1998: a Xeon 400, a Xeon 401 meg, 1 mega, 400 megahertz, 1 core,
Beautiful.
38 watt. What? 1 core, 1 thread, 38 watt.
Classic.
Taking 2007 out and going to the first PC I ever bought was a Dell.
Oh, don't you sing that one song?
A Pentium 4, Pentium 4, 519K.
Penny,
1 core. No, it was hyper threaded. That's right. This thing was. I remember how crazy that was.
Yep.
It was a 630 because I remember it only had 90 nanometers.
Pentium 2 Xeon 400, highest officially supported memory speed is 100 megatransfers. 100.
Oh, I don't want to tell you the secret to it all. I have DDR1 RAM. I have 8 sticks. I have 4 sticks somewhere. It's in my bedroom actually. It's not even in my office or closet. It's crazy. But I have 8 sticks of DDR1 RAM.
You keep saying
This
one.
thing,
That's driving me wild.
Yeah, okay, it's not DDR1. It's just DDR actually.
Yeah.
this thing, the node size is 250. 250 nanometer. Oh my god.
So what that actually is 0.2 millimeter. No, that's 2 millimeter. Is the node size.
Come a long way.
If I do believe, because I think I'm thinking if I know my millimeter, I have to look it up again. But that's it's closer. That's referenceable in millimeters. 250 nanometers is referenceable in millimeters.
What did this thing launch for?
Mine doesn't have launch prices for the one that I bought or for the one that we bought that came in our thing. Dude, this thing had a TDP of 84 watts.
It launched, so this thing, 1 core, 1 thread, the 38 watt, launched for $2,800 and a 1,000 count buy.
What?
$2,800.
All right. New things. Let's go back to new things for a second. I'm going back to the CPU database.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my filters. I'm going to the release year of 2025.
9965.
I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna go. Okay, can we talk about AMD and their naming conventions for a second here, guys? The Ryzen AI Max Pro 395.
Titan. No. Oh wait, you can't do that.
All right, AMD.
It's probably trademark.
I am going to have to call you on this. What the damn hell?
I mean, what the
Dude,
Lisa Sewer?
are you trying to make people not be able to pronounce your processors?
I don't know. You pronounced it. That sounds good.
That's because we talk about this a lot.
You recite it in your sleep.
Dude, if
Wake
my
up.
okay, I love my mother and father to death. If they tried to figure out what the Ryzen AI Max Plus Pro 395 was, do you know how confused they would be? They'd be like, "Is this good?" Like that's how they'd ask the question. I mean, but that's the thing. That's the BS behind it. I mean, then you got, okay, better yet, you got the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395. Come on, simplify it. Simplify the damn thing.
I mean, buzzwords do sell right now. You know,
Buzzwords.
it's the buzzword. It's honestly buzzwords. You know,
It's
kind of
it's
thing.
buzzwords, but it's the plus that
Yeah.
kills me. It's the plus that kills me.
Yep.
All right, you know, Intel's not much better, but at least at least their stuff is tagged to the end of something.
Mhm.
So with Intel, if you want to know if it's better, okay, you look at the number after the name. So Ultra 9, okay, that's the best thing you got. All right, then you got a couple of numbers in Ultra 9. The highest number wins. All right.
Makes sense.
You might not understand the T, the HX, and then the nothing, and the K, and so on and so forth, but you do understand that a 285 is better than a 275,
Yes.
right? You get
Yep.
that.
Sure.
Okay? We can
Well,
all talk about that, and,
Put a plus in
it's
front of
it's lovely benefit.
Put a plus in front of it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, the Ultra 9 Plus 285.
Sick.
But like I said, I'm discussing this and bringing this up to simply explain a couple of things. One, we've come a long way. I don't want to use the age old quote, new is always better. New is not always better. I mean, there was some, okay, now I'm really going to rabbit hole it for a second here. Close. Filters by year. I want that 2005.
So we weren't on the rabbit hole before?
No, I'm reopening the rabbit hole for a second because I want to go find my, what is it? There was an
Workstation.
Athlon. Had to be an Athlon. No, Phenom Black. Oh, I looked at 2005. I'm an idiot. I need 2007.
Once upon a time.
2007 now. 'Cause I need the Phenom X4. And this. I don't know if it was. I can't remember if it was the BE or the regular 9600. But yes. Okay, what was this manufactured? 65 nanometers. Holy cow, Batman. And chance, I'm going to say it, if your parents decide they want to come and say hello, they're welcome to be a part of it. It's all puppy.
Saw the dog. Yeah, you saw the dog. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
right, they're welcome to they're welcome to be here. They could tell us how, okay, we'll use them they could be test samples for this conversation. Did they know what an AI plus model is?
No. I promise you.
I mean, but like,
They've got one task, and that's to find that old Dell here in a little while.
oh, there we go. We need to see it.
The dual core, yeah.
I wish I had my old. I actually was a part of selling that old Dell PC when we finally got rid of it. So I think somebody bought it for like $500.
Not bad.
I mean, it had an old ass. Dude, the GPU and you. All right, we're having a nostalgia moment. Chris, do you remember AGP?
Oh, sorry. It predated PCI E.
Yeah, but it was
Sure.
it was the first parallel graphics processing where so PCI is serial, PCI Express is parallel.
Okay.
All right, AGP was a flawed graphic standard that tried to bridge serial to parallel. It was completely weird. It had a totally different thing. I'm gonna say this because I saw something about this the other day, and it's something that AMD is trying to bring back, and I think Intel and Nvidia need to be looking in these areas a little bit more. Do you remember when you got motherboards with GPUs? So you get a motherboard with a GPU actually on the board. Like integrated graphics was not on the CPU. It was on the board. So I built my brother a desktop when he was in college. I threw this thing away 2 years ago because he gave it back to me. And I was like, okay, I'll hold on to it next time. He had a GeForce. He had an Intel chip in it. a Core 2 Duo, Wolfsdale, if I remember correctly. So it had a Core 2 Duo in it, a Core 2 Quad, that's what it was called. Back when you could, they had the Core 2 Duo, then they had the Core 2 Quad. But he had, that was what it had in it. And then he had a NVIDIA integrated circuit on the North Bridge, for the North Bridge. So he had an NVIDIA GPU that was actually onboard for onboard graphics. And it had this SLI link version that basically said, and Chris, maybe you know the term that I'm looking for the NVIDIA Intel integrated thing when you're on a laptop, where it's got the two GPUs running, and it's like, all right, we'll share the load differently. But the
Optimus?
Yeah, that's it. The Optimus technology. It's basically it's a next gen version of Optimus technology. It was a earlier gen version of Optimus technology, where certain things would still, like the integrated GPU would send signals directly through the actual PCI Express 1.0 or the original PCI Express lanes. It'd send its data through it just out the GPU.
Yep.
And then if you needed more horsepower, it would do some of the work and send it to that next GPU, and then it would put it out. It was kind of Optimus technology before Optimus technology was a thing. We have had this lovely dive. So I want to go back and I want to wrap this up in a fun way.
Do it.
I'm going to go, yeah, and yes, I have to say, actually, chance at some point in the near future, I have one of those old Sandy Bridge machines. I'll bust it out and show it to you.
Yep, need that.
It's quite comical.
Oh, I'm ready.
I mean, it's dual socket. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, and this is a conversation this is the work technology. This is where we're going to tie things in here a little bit. So, older machines. What do you do when you recycle, or how do you recycle an old machine?
Depends for me. Like my older machine's in the studio right now, so
but
it does great.
But I'm gonna give you this. Give you the unit. When I say older machine, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a kind of a workaround conversation. So when you have an older machine, like most people try to just unload them, get rid of them. Because I mean, like I said, if I were to try to step back and say, all right, let me sell this old dual socket Xeon E5 Sandy Bridge server. I remember the thing that made me the most upset about it was when you bought these Lenovo ThinkStations, if you didn't buy a certain model, you couldn't upgrade to the next generation. So you couldn't go to Ivy Bridge.
You
couldn't go to V2, which V2 didn't get a lot of extra things, but it got more performance.
Absolutely.
But the point that I'm making here, diving back into it, these E5 servers, right? Dual socket E5 servers, these ThinkStations, they still work just fine. The hardware doesn't stop working. Now, yes, is it less power efficient than buying a modern day NAS box? Absolutely.
Yep.
But how much less performance is it? Not that much.
I was about to say.
I mean, if you put a $25, I call it $25. You go on eBay, buy your $25 cheap GPU, or use an old one you have, put it in there, utilize the old GPU. Then you've got, now all of a sudden you could actually build a heck of a NAS or server.
Yep, network storage.
I mean, use your network attached storage that way. You can do all kind of different things with them. People don't think about the recyclability of the old technology. They just throw it away. That's the truth. I mean, my throwaway version is give it away. I give it to somebody else that can use it, because most of the thing, if you have a computer that is within, and this is what's crazy, and I think this goes a little bit further to talk about what's new. All right, you got the PlayStation 5 Pro. Xbox really isn't doing anything other than their handheld work that they're working on right now. But if we talk about for just 10 seconds here, new. And what's new? Right? Having that conversation about new. You buy a new PC. Yeah, some games, some of the newest games 10 years from now probably are going to suck.
Won't be good on it. Yeah.
You won't be I could not take that ThinkStation.
Mm-hmm.
Even with 16 cores and 32 threads
Yep.
running at 3.8 gigahertz. That's as max. That's as high as it went.
Mm.
All right, on all 8 cores. But I couldn't take that Xeon, that ThinkStation, and play Call of Duty on it outside of 1080p maybe. Now, if all you're gonna do is stick to 1080p for the rest of your life, great. So you want
70.
to, or 1440p maybe. Some of these old machines, I would bet I could run 1440p with a decent graphics card. I mean, it's got to be like a 2080 Super or something like that. I'm betting I could do that
Sure.
at 1440p and get 60 frames a second. I'd put money on that.
Huh?
All right. The PlayStation 5 Pro, now, yes, it can do 4K 60. Sure. But the PlayStation, it was bouncing between 1440p. To stay locked at 60 frames, it was bouncing between 1440p. And
Yep.
it's got technology that is quite literally 10 years newer, 15 years newer in some cases. You know, PCs last that much longer. As long as you find the specs you want to run and you stay there, you're good.
Mhm.
I mean, I think the better question today to talk about in the newness is there's a lot of obviously Prime Day's coming up. And this message is sponsored not by Amazon Prime because I wish Amazon Prime would sponsor me and that would be a wonderful thing.
Maybe one day.
We would love for the channel to get sponsorships from people. We don't get that. We're not that cool.
Nice. That'd be cool.
I mean, we're cool, but we're not that cool yet.
Oh.
Yet we're gonna say yet. But Amazon Prime Day is coming up, so if Amazon sees this and wants to make a lovely ad from this, give me a call. We'll have some fun with it. But Prime Day is coming up. Monitor deals out there right now. 9 times out of 10, the reason you have to upgrade something, it isn't because, oh, I just, I want to play this new game on it. Most new games work on the same old monitor. The problem is you get a new monitor because you want to, the higher fidelity.
Fidelity.
When you buy that higher fidelity, guess what? Then you have to either upgrade or buy something new from a PC perspective because you realize, God, man, this looks really good, but like, why does it seem so choppy?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I seeing, X, Y, and that? It's literally, guys, it's simple. It's because you're playing and using something. You buy the nice new $350 monitor, and that's when you have to upgrade your GPU. And
I,
all of a sudden you got a bottleneck at the CPU.
so
You
I
speak
bought.
to it.
So I can speak to everything that you just said. So I bought this
I love it.
on my left, this $500 1440p 100 hertz. Yes, $500. It's a fancier, older 5-year-old monitor.
And you hate it.
Bought it from Asus in 2020. It's got a key charger and with the 2080 Super, which is on a different computer now. It ran Witcher. Granted, Witcher is like 10 years old. Oh my god, Witcher 3 is 10 years old. Love that game.
There's a new one coming out, by the way.
I know. I'm excited. I'm gonna have to buy a whole new rig. Um, because,
Work for the game.
because my current in this rig with a 2060 and Threadripper 3960X does work totally fine.
Yep.
Can't play many games on the 2060. And I don't want to change the 2080 out that's downstairs because then things would just change. I don't want to do that. But if I put in like a 5080 or whatever, then I'm sure that my processor would then become a bottleneck because it's a third gen Threadripper.
Mm.
Literally everything that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So your bot, and that's the thing.
We always have.
In new is not always better. People don't understand where the bottlenecks are. Chris and I had a great conversation with a potential customer the other day, and they were like, "Well, we've got this, this machine it's we've got this super fast processor." I was like, "Yeah, that's not your bottleneck. Bottlenecks, you don't have enough memory." You have to understand software wise, especially in the working world. What's your bottleneck? Is it memory? Is it disk space? I know it's not disk speed because I have still yet to find something that can utilize an entire NVMe hard drive that's not a video game, like the speed of them. I don't know what to tell people. That's literally the way that is. There's nothing out there that can utilize especially a Gen 5 drive. What the damn hell?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love it if you get a Gen 4 drive to make it work. But you can't. I mean, I'm still sitting here thinking to myself, should people still be buying Gen 3 drives in this day and age? Outside of the fact that Gen 4 drives actually go up to a higher capacity, Gen 5s are kind of on that capacity line now, right? But outside of that, I mean, do you really need all that horsepower?
Maybe here in a bit.
I mean, it may be here in a bit, but not like long-term wise, no.
80% of people, no.
I wouldn't even say 80%. I'd say 92%. There's 8% of people in this world that can, outside of running a benchmark, that can actually truly utilize the capacity of NVMe drives. I'll be the first person to say I can do it, but it's data transfers. It's moving from one drive to another drive. Once again, where's my bottleneck? If I'm moving it across computers over the network, it's that I only have a 10 gig switch. I don't have some fancy 400 gig NIC that I can use, or 100 gig NIC where I can actually utilize a little bit more of those drive speeds.
Yeah, I mean, like most of my day is not working with the drive. It's working with the processor and the RAM. Like I just do a bunch of Chrome.
Which we all know how much Chrome eats up RAM.
But
these days, you really need 512 gigs to really run Chrome.
like I might download 1 gig, maybe probably 500 meg every day.
Yeah, but you got so think about it this way from your download perspective. Think about your download perspective though. What's your bottleneck? Your internet.
Yeah.
So you can have a 10 gig network, but if the file's not on your network, they don't have 10 gig internet anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, unless you are on some enterprise network that has it cross-laid fiber to the internet, and you have a 10 gig portal to the internet, that there are very few places that have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so your best bet, I mean, even now, I mean, the best home internet you can buy is usually 2 gig. You might go find 5 gig in a couple of areas. Not that much, though.
Yeah.
Not that much at all.
Mm-mm.
All right. So to wrap things up on the nice new things. Conversationally. Got to talk about the nice new things. So, and this is where this is more of the like I said, Prime Day's coming up. I call it Christmas in July.
Mm-hmm.
What are the nice new things that are out there right now? What are some of the deals? What are some of the intriguing things? I kind of wanted to give a brief little thought process to folks because Amazon has been doing this for years now. You now have this crazy world in which other people are participating because Walmart's got deals for when Prime Day occurs. You got Target having deals for when Prime Day occurs. You've got all that other stuff. So everybody's got some cool deals. So what's some things you ought to kind of look at? What are some unique Prime, Prime Day kind of early upcoming sales. Let me see if I can still get back to it. Where's that?
Oh snap!
I'm going to now
So
activate
it's not
that.
exactly what we had talked about, Brad,
Mention
but
it. Let's go.
the Medea 12,000 BTU it, AC unit, 550 square feet, is 15% off.
So is the 14,000.
So it went from 500 to 420.
And the 14,000. This is a single thing. It's not the dual tube like we talked about. They have a
Yeah.
14,000 one that's not. It's 10,000 BTUs. That's now 398. But yeah, so I mean, so what are some things that on Prime Day are going to be interesting? Well, AC units are crazy.
Yep.
GoPros are back in being craziness right now. Matter
Mhm.
of fact, you can actually get a GoPro, which what are action cams even good for these days? I mean, so many people just get with the way smartphones have gone.
Yep.
I say all that to say this: there are some good things with them. So, for example, GoPros actually work as great webcams now. If you're looking for a really solid, like high performing webcam, go with that. You got a lot of stuff. A lot of the outdoor cams for people are kind of crazy. I have a very skewed deals for me, obviously, because I got fans here. Why in the heck they're showing me all these couches? I don't need a couch. I have a nice couch.
Send me one.
Yeah, you need it, yeah. Fans
Yeah,
in there.
fans and couches.
But like back to school savings are getting ready to come into popularity.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a lot of the robot vacs are coming back in as some of the stuff. The higher end ones. So like, I mean, here's a shark one that actually has like the lidar stuff where it maps your room and also has a auto disposal for me where it vacuums it out of the actual thing ahead of time. Which by the way, if you're ever gonna get one, that's the one to get. Ring doorbells are going on sale. I mean, there's so many opportunities right now. I bring this up to show to mention there's also monitor deals going on right now. Now, like I just said, you buy a new monitor, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? You're probably going to find yourself needing to upgrade something else. And you might want to give Chris a call at that point in time. But the point that I make to that is there are really, really, these days I keep seeing, and I hate that they pronounce it this way because it hasn't been this price in so long. Like the Samsung 49-inch ultra wide, the Odyssey G9, it
That's a
has
big
been
one.
it has been 80, it has been almost 50% off for 2 years now on Amazon. But it's now it's under $1,000. That's like I said, hyper super ultra wides like that, 21 by 9 setups, or not 20, 32 by 9 setups. Sorry, those are a great opportunity to take a look at those.
Mm-hmm.
And where there's a benefit to those is that they're two 1440p monitors put together. They're kind of helpful, right?
Sick.
Also, they're massive. They're very ultra wideish, so you're gonna run into your issues there. But take a look at the Prime deals. I mean, that's like fine things. You got Wi-Fi units that are getting better, portable Wi-Fi units that are getting better. You've got all kinds of opportunities now. And like I said, this is not an ad for Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, that's great. If you don't, like I said, your Targets of the world, they're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Your Walmarts of the world, they're going to be there. Your Best Buys of the world, everybody is going to have deals in 2 weeks. So go have some fun, spend a little money, enjoy your Prime Day, and then at the end of that, go see the new Superman movie because guess what? I'm for everyone that says they're tired of seeing Superman reboots, I am not. I am happy that they're finally trying to create a DC connected universe like Marvel, and I think that maybe James Gunn will do better. He did do Guardians of the Galaxy, so.
Right.
Well, we have come towards the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's time that we step away. I think it's time that we have some fun. I will go ahead and also tell you one of the things to look into if you ever decide you want to get into streaming, get your Stream Deck or one of those little Logitech controllers. They're great for being able to interact and do stuff. If you notice, I'm just reaching down and pushing a button, swapping between the video formats. It's not me having to go up here and click to change and do all that and sit up here, spin on my. Great little solution there. Great little solution there. So, say all that. I'm Brad Medlin.
Chris Touchberry.
And I'm Chance Krasnicki.
Once again, we are not your typical IT